check it out. I feel a storm coming on. Yeah, and it's coming from the west.
Welcome to Guitars of R&B. I'm Malina Moye, and my guest today is the trailblazing, incredible artist that is Malina Moye. Welcome, Malina Moye. Thank you for joining me. Who are you?
Thank you, Colleen. Are you kidding me? Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today to speak to you and to speak to all the listeners, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it is. It is. You've had an incredible career. You still have an incredible career. And what an achievement it is to be the first woman of color to have your own line of signature guitar strings. One of the first Black women to perform the American national anthem at a major sporting event. 80,000 people. That's a lot of eyeballs.
Yeah.
And you were recognized as one of today's most influential artists by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, there's just 3 accolades. There's loads. There's so many. But you must be pretty pleased with that, right?
Are you kidding me? I'm so excited. Like, you know how I think that with anything, you find something that you really love, and then suddenly you're just off to the races, and then, man, the places the guitar can take you. That's what I always like to say. Yeah. And for me, the people.
If we can start from your early days, your dad gave you your first guitar, and it was right-handed guitar. You're left-handed. You flipped it upside down, and that was it. You were off and away. So what were those early days like for you learning?
I actually grew up in a musical family. So my mom and my dad are professional musicians, and they were in a band together. So I think it was only natural that me and my brothers, we were like, man, we want to play music. And I remember my dad did. You're right. He gave me my first guitar, and I was like, oh, this is crazy. I mean, I don't know about playing this. And you know, he literally gave it to me like a right-handed player, but I am a true left-handed person. So I do everything left-handed. And I remember him giving it to me, and he was like, you know, he gave it to me like a righty, and I'm like, I can't play this. It doesn't, my hands are cool. I couldn't make it work for myself. So when he left the room, I took the guitar and I flipped it upside down. And when I did it that way, I was like, oh man, this is amazing. Like, this works for me. He came back in and he's like, what are you doing? That's backwards. And I was like, no, this is perfect. And he goes, nobody plays like that, but maybe Jimi Hendrix. He goes, I don't even know. Jimmy plays like that, because the strings, of course, were upside down. So I'm also left-handed, but I play in reverse, which means the skin of your E is closer to the top of your head, as opposed to a true lefty who actually strings it left-handed. I don't even know how you do that. So I'm lefty and play upside down. So there's only a few people who actually, that I know, who are left-handed and who play upside down. So everything's backwards. So that's something else. So I just said, you know what? I'm just going to go with this and find Malina Moye. So, you know, just growing up, we were a family band. So it was always me, my mom, my dad, and my 2 brothers. And, you know, just being in school and playing in talent shows. And then suddenly we were playing all around the world. I grew up in Minnesota. So, of course, now you're talking Minneapolis sound, you're talking Prince. So, you know, just having that type of environment, you know, growing up in Minnesota and just being around some of the most incredible players, and my mom and dad, of course, being our heroes, you know, just learning. And then, I mean, come on, Prince, right? So just when you see someone,
you met Prince, right?
Yes.
Prince.
Yes. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, just the opportunity to see an artist like that and be around, like, to me, Minnesota has some of the best musicians in the world. Prince knows how to find them. I tell you that, you know, and he is truly missed. But, yeah. So, you know, just growing up and my dad, like, he would always make music seem so fun, where if you heard a song, he would say, okay, that there is Carlos Santana. You see that guitar? This is, you know, that's Neil Schon. You see how he's doing this? That's his imprint. You can tell from his tone. That's Steve Vai. Eric Clapton, he's got more of the bluesy
stuff.
Right. So, but he just really broke everything down.
Right.
And it just, you know how like you watch a movie, and so it became like a passion. And then my mom, of course, singer and a drummer. So she was always the person showing me everything up front, how to command the stage, looking at different artists, what they're bringing to the table, what I can bring to the table, how to walk, how to, you know, hold the microphone, you know, looking at just Tina Turner, James Brown, any of these artists. She would pull up just different videos and of course, we would go to their shows. So I'm seeing my mom, and I was like, holy shit, I want to do that.
It's important for you that you're not boxed in and you're not pigeonholed. You know, so, I mean, how and why is that important to you? Because your sound is a bit of blues, isn't it? A bit of rock, a bit of R&B, a bit of pop. It's everything.
I love that. Thank you. Because like I said, we all have access to the same notes. And the thing is, those notes don't know they're supposed to stay in those boxes. So why should I? It's people who do that. And when it comes to how would you describe my sound? You know, the world and labels, obviously people need to sell you because they need to go, well, how do we sell this? What is this? So then you go, okay, this person is pop rock, but they have different blends of soul, pop, funk, R&B. And a lot of the artists back in the day, those were those type of artists that, you know, people always say, yeah, you're born in the wrong generation, Malina, because the style and the sound, that was radio. I was like, you know, they were like Prince, and you get Sly Stone. You would have just different artists that would come on, but it was about the blending of genres. And now so many artists are saying, you know, they're like genre fluid. And I love it because, right, you know what I mean? I'm like, you know, everybody's like, no, I'm a country artist. No, but I love country, but I'm really a rap star. So I love it. So I'm down for it all because that is how you change the game.
Guitarists often struggle to find their own sound, don't they? So how did you develop your sound, and what advice do you have for others who want to do that? Because we all start off emulating people, don't we, really? Like when you hear something that you like. And so how did you do that?
Well, I think that to me, that is the name of the game. So to be inspired, right? And keep this in mind, inspiration can come from anything. So it can even be you walking down the street and hearing like and then you're like, this is something. So I'll give you an idea. When I first started out, I remember like when I end up getting a job, right? And I was working at this place where they had a sewing machine, and the sewing machine actually, you had to lift your foot in order to make something like this. And I have no idea how to sew, right? So I'm doing this, but if you do this for like 8 hours, what happened is I said, Jesus, this is like a wah-wah. So when I got my first wah, I remember like I was like, for 8 hours, I just kept freaking doing that machine, the bottom. So it became like, you know what I'm saying? So inspiration can come from anything. Then you're working that little pedal, and then you may just even hit one note going, Paul, if I do this note comes. If I do this, I'm getting a wah. So, you know what I mean? Inspiration comes from anything. Also, look at who are some of your favorite artists. And I would say, not just current, go back, go way, way back and listen to what they're doing. Listen, break down like, what is it this guy's doing? Why would he hit that note? What does this actually mean? What pedal is that? What's a pedal? I mean, all these different things. And then don't be afraid to fail, because that's how you learn. Don't let anybody put you in a box, because everybody's going to say, no, do this, play it this way. But life is about, what do you want to do? That's how we start to get these incredible people like Jimi Hendrix, like Steve Vai, like Eddie Van Halen, like Jimmy Nolan, like Catfish Collins. People are like, actually, no, I'm not going to do that, because no, Elizabeth Cotton. I mean, cotton picking. Here's a left-handed. So you start looking at what is it that works for you. And then specifically with Elizabeth, I want to say she was it 65 when she actually put her record out, and things started to really take off for her in her 80s. So, I mean, you gotta just don't listen to anybody. Do what feels good to you and make the mistakes, because in the mistakes is where you actually find yourself. And you go, I'm not going to do that again. That didn't work.
Yeah. Exactly. Who are you learning from now? Do you still learn from other people?
Me? Girl, what? In fact, so I'm that artist and the guitar player where Like I still, when we're not touring, I'm always going to go, hey, you know what? There's a couple new licks I'm listening to. These are the people I love. And I'm also just jamming with my guitar coach. And I'm like, hey, let's just jam it out, because you discover new stuff every time you pick up the guitar. I promise you. I mean, literally. And for me, I go, let's say you're in a bad mood and you want to do it. You still do it. But what you're also doing is you're bringing that aggression to what you're doing. And before you know it, you're going to figure out a whole new lick that goes with that. To be honest, that's how, that's how a lot of my songs are written. Like I always just the practice, the little riff. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that could work. So then I just start, recording it. And then I go back and listen, go, I like that little riff. Maybe let me see if I could turn that into a song. So I'm that person that looks at all those pieces. So definitely pick the guitar up, even if you're sad, mad. That's when it gets good, because you're not trying to play. You're actually trying to get out a different type of emotion. So that's not what you're realizing. And when you do that, you're now going to start to hit the strings, everything different. And you're going to discover, damn, I don't know where that came from.
Into the right headspace for your creative process then? Are you sitting down and thinking, I'm going to write an album today? Do you write with the guitar? Do you?
Let me just pull it out the air. No, but honestly, that's how it does work. No. Because again, I am that person that feels like this. You have to have life. In order to write, you need life. So everybody has their thing, but I'm always going to say, enjoy your life. Go experience what's happening, because those are the things that you're going to bring back that's going to help you when you're telling your story. For instance, like the song Enough. What I loved about
beautiful song.
Thank you.
Gorgeous song. I love it. Yeah.
Thank you. Because for this one, it's like you coming out, you're doing everything. And then I just remember it was at a time when I noticed, I was like, oh my God, we're out here working our asses off. And I'm like, this doesn't seem fair, because the media is not giving the same representation that I myself am seeing that people who look like me are getting, as opposed to these other people. And I'm like, perhaps this is a real oversight. Then I realized, no. So I wrote the song because I was hoping that this editor who did this magazine would actually hear it. And I thought that I could change his heart, because I wanted him to know that, sir, this magazine and how you set things up, saying here's the best, guitarist, blah, blah, blah. I said, you don't understand that we don't have the same playing field. And, we're out here having it, before we can get to the stop sign, we got to do 80 million things just to make it to step one, while certain people can just go to the damn stop sign. And you're not equating that. And I realized that you really don't care. And I said, and you're trying to make me feel that I am not enough, that I'm nobody. And I'm like, fuck that. And that's when I sat down, and that song I actually wrote in like 5 minutes. Wow. So some stuff would just come. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I was just
that's usually the way.
Yeah. I just started writing, and I was like, and to be honest, it felt therapeutic, because I said, I want him to hear this. And when he hears this guitar solo, maybe it will touch him, and then he will like rethink what he said and look at everybody, all people, and look at what we all are bringing to the table and redo that list. Well, lo and behold, not because of me making this song, but because the publisher realized that this person was being redundant, and they were just putting the same people on these magazine covers. And I said, I knew I wasn't crazy. And I got to be honest with you. I remember saying, at that time, the furiousness of like, when I'm like, man, I have worked my ass off. I came to California with $20. I was homeless. I lived in the street. Everything we did, we worked hard to get here, and we don't have the same playing field as other people. So I'm like, you are not being fair. And I said, I realize this is a record business, but we had worked our asses off. And I just remember just being so furious. And then I want to say, years after this took place, and I realized sometimes that, and I'm a person of faith and a person of God, it's amazing how God will use people to further you.
Yeah.
And I literally had to forgive this person because I realized, and what made it worse for me is I was like, you actually saw me perform and you know what we're really capable of, which means that you deliberately chose to do and name the people that you did. Not saying that I'm just some epic person, but I'm saying there was not enough representation in that situation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell, man? This is crazy.
Yeah.
You're not doing the full spectrum of what's going on. And had I not written that song, I wouldn't have met all the people. And that was also, you know, one of the things too, like, you know, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and just all the people. And when I ended up doing the I Am Enough campaign, just to have incredible artists like Yolanda Adams, Anita Baker, Boyz II Men, different people that I love. Mickey Howard, they were like, man, I loved your song. And I woke up the next day and I remember I said, hey, you know, no matter what you are, celebrate yourself. If people don't clap for you, and I learned that as well, clap for yourself.
Say it, say it, say it. You're gonna know my name.
When you're the first, you come out and you do different things, but people don't understand this. When you're the first and you're in a certain level, what happens is, they always say the first one's the bloodiest, right? Because you go out and you're experiencing different things and you are opening the door for other people to see on both sides, meaning people to say, oh, Malina can do it, I can do it too. And that's correct. And then on the other side, the people going, you know what, we'll just give her a spot. No problem. There'll be no more. Just give it to her. But what happens is you go, hey guys, so honestly, I deserve not just a piece of the bread, but the entire loaf, because I'm seeing what you're giving the other people who did exactly what I did, but I had to do a bit more, yet I'm not being elevated. I don't know why you're not doing this, but I deserve it. What's incredible is when, like you said, you're in front of 80,000 people. That's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that love you and hate you. We just did NASCAR. So that was my first time doing it at the NASCAR audience. That was a whole different animal because once again, people have a set notion of, I mean, the anthem is like, oh my God, you know, they're like, we wanted what we want. And so I guess I never thought that it would be that big of a deal. Cause I'm like, man, I've played it for the Vikings. We've done, you know, like you said, we just did the LeBron James. I went over and did the ceremony for the Lakers. This has been great. Yeah, let's do NASCAR. But holy NASCAR audience.
Different beast altogether.
Oh, because they were like, as soon as I've seen people online, they said, as soon as I seen her with that guitar, I muted it. I muted her. I knew that what she thinks she's Jimmy Hit? No. And then they said, that must be Bubba Wallace. We're blaming. And I was like, oh my God. So I never experienced it to that level. So that's what I mean. A lot of people don't know. And then I felt so bad about not the fact that some people were like, oh, this is awesome. So some people were like, with NASCAR, they were like, I mean, again, being the first over there, Black woman to play the guitar. And I guess it wasn't enough that I actually played upside down. So they were like, oh, hell no. Soon as we saw her, we muted that TV, you know? So it's like, you just go, yeah.
Do you think enough is being done in the guitar world to sort of make it more inclusive in that sense? Because you're talking about the reaction or the reception of people who are listening, but what about the guitar world? What can they do more to make it more inclusive?
You know, that's a great question. I will say this, it's much better. So, I mean, look at what's happening right now. And again, as a person who I'm going to say absolutely, even with the, you know, guitar manufacturers in my partnerships where I'm saying, hey guys, you know, we need to see more partnerships with women and people of color and the LGBTQ families and more people with signature guitars. And it shouldn't just be these white guys, which is great. And I'm always telling them, hey, if you know that you're the guy that's getting a signature guitar, you need to also question them and ask them, hey, what women have you done? Is there anything else that you're looking to bring to what is happening? Because for years, this is me. Hey guys, I'm on this tour too. Can I have a signature guitar? You know, and again, I don't want to get into too much of it now, but looking at, since 2020, what's amazing is I was so proud to see so many women, at least, get more of those guitars, see more, the magazines and media definitely, incorporating more females, especially in these lists, and more conversations like this, because I always say conversations is how you actually change things. Without
Shift the dial.
conversation,
Yeah.
if you don't have a conversation, you're never going to know what's going on. And
Yeah.
then you start to realize who's really down for you and who isn't.
What I found really interesting is that Fender did a survey, and it was and they found, I think it was a survey, they looked at who was buying their guitars, and they found
Women.
that women were driving half of all new sales of their guitars. And then they kind of switched their marketing strategy and brought more women into it, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
What was really a big moment as well is at the Super Bowl halftime when Her came out and did her solo with Usher. I mean, what a moment of visibility for women that was on guitars. Obviously, there was a build up to it, so we knew it was coming.
Honestly, I mean, even before all that, to be fair, Fender always had the Girl Rock campaign where they were always looking for women and always looking to highlight them. And there are definitely going to be people, I think, in every company who really try very hard to make things happen. And then you're going to obviously have resistance. But even with, signature moments, I'm always down for, this is where I'm at. No matter how anybody plays it, I think it's important that we get people in the most visible places because it will start conversation. And I love the halftime with what Usher did with Her. I'm a huge fan. I thought it was incredible. I also love what Ari did too with what was it? With John Legend and Sheila E. Did you see that one with the Prince piece? I love that.
Yes.
I was like, I texted her, I was like, girl, I love that.
I know.
Right? So I was like, this was awesome. And she's awesome too. So to me, I'm like, keep all of that coming. Are you kidding? So I'm always saying, long before all the stuff that we see happening now, I always say people never get a full spectrum of what's going on. And I always like to say, even though I'm sometimes saying, they say, okay, Malina's the first to do this and this. I always like to say, we never know who came before these people or who came before me, who were looking for the same opportunity. And they were like, no, we're just not going to do it. And then I was the lucky one that said, hey, I'm going to do this. And I was able to do that. So I always know when it's such a big move for anything, there have always been fighters before you actually even got to those places. And I always like to acknowledge those people because I know there is no way I would have been able to achieve certain things because we may not know their names, but I know they definitely fought. And because of that little bit of chipping away, that helped to make certain things happen. And I like to think as a person that, like you said, in a nice way, I'd say, when I saw that particular survey as well, I'm like, I have been saying to them Fender, hey, look at, you have some of the best female players in the world, man. You guys are the leaders with this. We need to see more signature pieces for women. And they finally delivered it. But I want to say again, years. But it's all about, you're here now and you just want to continue to move forward. And then as far as my strings, I was very fortunate as a longtime player with Dean Markley. And I was like, hey, you know what? This is amazing. And this is something I would like to also see in the marketplace because I do play unorthodox and I do have this crazy string situation going on and people are always asking. So I'd love to team up and let's see if there's, possibility. And they were like, let's do it. So then for me, I was like, this is awesome. So I'm always again saying, what is it? If there's no seat at the table, bring a chair.
Exactly.
Bring your own chair. And then eventually it's like, build the table. Yeah.
So Malina, when you were recognized by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as one of today's most influential artists, at the time, did you have a sense of the legacy that you were building? And do you see your influence differently now to then?
Oh my God. Yeah. It is such a, once again, you start to realize you want to go where the love is, right? And one of the hardest things is to know that because everybody always just goes the other way. And then when you get recognized by the highest institution in music, you're just like, oh my God, this is amazing. that's why I said I could not be mad at the gentleman when all that took place, because all this only helped fuel the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And there's so many different
Your
pieces.
talent.
Thank you.
Too.
No, but I mean the song and writing that song
Yeah.
and getting it out there and getting the people, because then that song ended up having a resurgence again, which
Yeah.
put a whole new merit on that. And then let me say this, playing the anthem, this is one piece of it, but a lot of people like at the time too, look at it this way. I always say I am a Black female. I own my own business. Now, can you imagine having to raise capital? A lot of people do GoFundMe. So imagine being a Black woman taking
Yeah.
meetings, and you're dealing with a lot of corporate America. And I never forget when we went over to Sony, they were like, we never had anybody. Let me tell you what we did. I said, let's buy them dinner. And before that, I'm going to play. I'm going to perform. I performed. And while they were eating their dinner, I jumped on the table, played the guitar, did my song. They were like, holy shit. Then I had my team pass out the pamphlets about how we were going to move this record. And they were like, we have never in our life had an artist come do what you just did. Because the thing is, when you are an independent artist in the beginning and you start to learn so much. So it's not just, for me, I say, about the instrument. It's also being a businesswoman. It's also raising that capital. It's also about writing the songs. I always say to people, you have to look at this in the whole grandeur of what is actually happening. I believe it's an encompass of everything. Because and when you first and you do things, that's one thing, but it's a whole other thing to continue to keep it moving, to keep it growing, to keep reinventing yourself, to keep being in love with what you're doing, and to keep elevating. And if they say, and I am so proud, because to me, the people who influenced me, that was always the goal, right? I remember something my brother would always say to me. I said, man, I feel so weird. These people it's like I'm doing this, but I feel like these people are trying to copy off what I'm doing. Why would they do that? Why wouldn't you just be yourself? And he said, but isn't that your job? And I said, what do you mean? He said, you're an artist. Your job is to inspire people.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing. So go do that. I am so proud, and it means so much. Just recently, they were like, hey, we have a new exhibit. We want to also put you in the Revolutionary Women's exhibit.
Yeah.
And this was so cool because, again, with the Revolutionary Women, it's about the first people who step out of line, people who just challenge everything. And that has been my entire life. And to sit there and to meet Shirley Manson from Garbage, who's so amazing, and like Lisa Loeb and Jane from the Go-Go's, and just to be a part of that whole week and just bask in all of their goodness and their glory, and they're just beautiful and their energy. Oh, for me, that will be something that I will never forget, because again, the journey and the people. Oh, and to this day, we're all like, I always go, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just gave me some of the best people. I love the rock, and the hall themselves, the community, all just wonderful, wonderful people. And yeah, and so it feels so good. So yes, because when you work so hard, you do want to be recognized. You're like, thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's important, isn't it? We do it for ourselves as artists, especially you. I'm not an artist. I'm
You are
aspiring guitarist, but as musicians, you do it for yourself, but it is nice to be recognized for the work that you do. And that with I think 2 of your albums have topped, haven't they? The Billboard Blues Chart.
Yeah.
And you've had several singles that have featured in the Billboard R&B and HipHop Singles Chart, haven't you?
Yeah.
But with all of this success and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame success, do you continue to evolve creatively and motivate yourself to evolve creatively? Because you can get wrapped up in all of these accolades, can't you? But then how do you bring it back to the artistry for yourself?
I love that. It's back to the same thing. The top of one heel is the bottom of the next. And I love it. I mean, this is ever since I was a little girl, this is all I ever wanted to do. So this,
You're doing
I
it.
love
You're
it. I
doing it.
love to, thank you. I love to play. I love to sing. I love talking to people. I love all of it. This is what I always wanted to do. For me, music is one tier of Malina Moye. And what we are also working on this year is I have, like films. So, my fiance is a film director. And so we have a couple of
Yes.
projects that, we have been taking out, and I cannot wait to share it with everybody. I mean,
Is this acting that you're doing?
yeah. Because actually, the song "Enough" was also in the Samuel project that I made my acting debut in,
Yes.
which you guys can see right now on Amazon Prime. But yes, there definitely, and I'm very, very excited. I am so excited because, again, any medium that has to do with being creative, please count me in. I mean, like I said, if I fail, I'll know not to do that again. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to keep trying. And I will.
Exactly.
And I'm going to keep showing up all the time, every time, because I owe myself that. We need to keep pushing the boundaries. We need to keep showing up, even when they don't want us, and to develop the thickest skin, because this is what it takes. And it's 2025. And the more we keep just keep knocking the door down. And I believe this, every one of us is a part of the history making process. Every one of us is chiseling away a piece to get us all there together collectively. You can change the world. And then at the end, we all get to go, yes, we're the Justice League. We freaking did it, y'all. We did it. We did it.
True. Yeah. Malina, thank you so much. It's been amazing speaking to you. And I'm excited to hear about your new album. So when can we expect that?
Well, we're going to have 2 albums coming. So we've been recording. So there's going to be 2. We're going to do a live album that's coming, I want to say July. But in 2026, you can definitely expect my new album. I think and I keep that's another thing. I'll start taking screen captures and getting different muses and speaking to my team. But I was like, I think I want to call this one Icon, because this is going to be I want to just do some epic shit. My thing is this: have fun. Have fun. And it's going to be hard. And nobody said it was going to be easy, but no matter what, just get yourself a mental team that also was like, hey, I know you're tired. I know it's like this, but guess what? Keep going. You're almost there. And don't stop.
Exactly. Don't stop.
Don't stop.
That's the key takeaway. Thank you so much for joining me on Guitarist R&B, Malina Moye.